Welcome back, everybody, to week number 10 of the Quake Pro League. We have Cooler, we have Xron. It's going to be an interesting matchup, as it always is, here in the weekly broadcasts. But for me, this is a bit more of a Xron story. Because we know Cooler's going to do well. He always seems to do well, especially now. Time Limit Duel is a thing. He absolutely killed it at QuakeCon. He's been killing it in these weekly broadcasts. And he has really competitive games versus the best of the best when they clash heads, right? But Xron is, when he's in shape and he's doing really well, it feels like the best form of competitive Xron we've seen so far. However, I think confidence has been a real killer for him, especially as of kind of recent weeks. But if he's able to get a win versus Cooler this week, then he's going to feel exceptionally good as we go into Italy in 1 week's time.
Absolutely. Again, the story of the day is building that confidence going into the LAN, trying to do your best, make sure that you go in at a high level, and he's got a tall task in front of him. I mean, Cooler is absolutely no slouch, but we'll see if Xron can handle it.
You were waiting for that.
I was. I wrote that down like 6 months ago, and I've been trying it ever since. Finally nailed it, I feel like.
Just saying it in the mirror. And
yeah.
It's like,
over and over again, just you're going to do it. You're going to nail it. And I feel like I actually flubbed it now that I think about it. But
no,
it's okay.
I want to give you a 9 out of 10 on the execution of that. I think it was well prepared. But you know who else is well prepared? So that was done on the fly. Cooler, the king.
Pro.
We get to see how he's going to be shaping up. And I mean, he's one of the most famous Quake players of all time. I mean, yeah, legend doesn't even begin to describe this guy. But if he's able to get a win versus Xron this week, fantastic stuff. You know, he's really high up on those leaderboards, and he's looking in good shape for Italy. But hey, this may not be the most meaningful of the matches that we've seen in the Pro League because it's week 10. Their sort of placements in the leaderboard are quite, I think consistent at this point. But this is just a great opportunity to just see Cooler do what he does best, which is some damn good time limit duel.
Absolutely. Again, last minute practice, just build that confidence going into the land, and we're going to see if Cooler can I don't know, destroy's a tough word, but I think it's going to be close, but I think I might actually assume that Cooler's going to take this one away. I mean, I know that you hate that I jump into predictions, also because I just absolutely ruin people with my predictions, apparently, as we saw in the last set, but it's going to be a close one. I'm excited for this one.
Well, we should have a little bit more extra information, as I believe the picks and bans are ready very, very soon. We can see what's been, I guess, selected here. And the map picks for me are quite traditional. I think it's a good opportunity to just kind of just see patience, especially as you have our map number 1, Blood Covenant. A little bit of a difference in the champion picks, though. The first map having the Galena and the Slash pick. Xron really liking those kind of odd execution champions. It's why he's one of the main players here that really rocks Scale Bearer in tournament settings. Molten Fool's our next map. Sorlag and Scale Bearer respectively. And then as we go into Veil of Nath, BJ versus Ison. And yeah, I mean, fundamentally to me, Blood Covenant is just a great way to start this. I always love watching it because it's just such a perfect blend of duel, isn't it? You get to see some crazy aggression, it can test your execution. You can be nice and patient though on Blood Covenant. The rail's nice and popular, but you've got these weird little choke points. I feel like from a competitive setting and watching it, it kind of seems like the gift that keeps on giving if it's someone like Cooler as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I got my eyes on Molten. I mean, look at that, Sorlag and Scale Bearer. That's gonna get a little crazy. And then you got Ison and BJ on Veil. That one should be a good one too. The turret can be absolute doomsday on Veil. But yeah, as you said, Blood Covenant, you can kind of play the style that you want, impose your will depending on how you want to attack your opponent. But Slash, so speedy. Xron, pretty good on Slash, not a slouch. But can crouch slide. So we'll see if he can crouch slide his way into victory on that one. That was on the fly. I'm trying, all right?
That was
I'm
all
trying.
right.
It's hard to keep up with
I'll give that one a hard 7 out of 10,
right,
personally.
okay.
But I look at the champion picks, actually, for Blood Covenant. Excuse me. Didn't have time to touch my button. I should just get it out.
I got you next time.
We'll sync it up next time. But the first map, I think what we're going to be seeing is the champion picks alone give us kind of like an automatic tell as to how the two players are going to approach. We know Cooler not afraid to put that chokehold on and just make you feel like when you're playing that you can't do anything because his level of his mind is one of the strongest out there. And I think that's why he does so well in this format of duel. The moment Time Limit was introduced, he just seemed to kind of like just ascend beyond a level that we'd seen so far. And it's like, who knew that the moment there's a game mode that's introduced where you have to be a lot more calculated, like the way things used to be, where Cooler made a name for himself in the first place. Who knew he'd now become, as good as he is? But I mean, Galena versus Slash, there's going to be a lot of movement and a lot of potential high octane versus Galena, who her goal is going to be to set up.
Absolutely.
But the difference would be Slash, maybe she has the opportunity to take some of those totems out, a little bit quicker going around those corners. Maybe she can keep the, I guess, 3 totem rotation from building up. You know, we know Xron is a bit of a lab monster, right? He's not afraid to go into custom games and examine weird totem locations himself. So I don't think there's going to be any tricks here. You know, it'd be very hard to catch him out with something, I guess, mechanical he's not ready for. I think Cooler is just historically a little bit better at just applying those mechanics. He is just experience personified.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing if he's going to use those totems more for like a speed bump and say, hey, you're going to crouch slide around these corners pretty much all map, and I'm going to make sure that every time you're going to be paranoid about hitting a totem straight to the face. We'll see. I mean, face checking him is still getting rid of him, but the damage adds up after a while, and it also gives away your location, so we'll see how Cooler decides to play the totem game.
Easy to accidentally face check it when you're a high-speed champion like Slash as well, especially in a map like this where there are a lot of corners. On the spot, though, let's have a quick chat about some predictions as we load into our first map. Cooler versus Xron. We'll see if it's going to be close or whether it's going to be just one-sided. I don't know about you, 40, but I do rate Cooler in this matchup.
Are you going to go full 2-1, 3-0? What do you got?
I think 2-1 because I think Xron's going to step up this week, but I do think the win's still going to go to Cooler.
I think I'd have to agree. I think 2-1 sounds pretty good. There's one totem already face checked as Cooler waiting on that Mega raining down rockets. No damage done yet, but the split between the items is fairly large. And that's going to be a good thing for Cooler here as he makes his way back towards the rockets. Avoids a little bit of damage, and all that heavy machine gun just chipping away at Xron.
Yeah, not much Cooler could do at the very beginning of that fight. He has done a wonderful job, though, being able to undo some of that work from Xron. Fundamentally, though, the fact that he spawned in and took the Mega, he only had a rocket launcher, so that's kind of not enough to jump by near Catacombs and take a fight, especially if there's, you know, Slash kind of has that speed advantage. You have to put a lot of faith in those rockets, especially if he's too far away. So Cooler kind of had to disengage there, but now a fight's being taken at maybe a better time.
Wow.
Fantastic rail, but he's very weak. Hits the rail again, but Xron picking up extra stack at the perfect time. It's honestly shocking that neither player died in that exchange.
Yeah, 1 HP even with the totem after that. He couldn't repeat for the rail. There's another rail from Cooler, but he's still railable. The drive-by rail won't come out. Xron extremely low on 25 HP as Cooler mans the heavy and makes his way back up to the Mega. It is going to be taken just in the nick of time for Xron as he gets out of there. That was extremely close.
That drive-by rail that we saw Cooler opt not to take near SSG, and I think that's definitely the safe bet. Because even though obviously we had the wonder of being able to see that Ron was going up near jump pad, he just as easily could have pulled a hard left, and if that rail missed, Cooler was definitely going to die there. Goes in for some of those rockets. Ron wise to it, eating a bunch of LG, but he gets a return rail, but not before Cooler evens the odds, and Ron escaping 1 HP. And even with a heavy, that much health is alarming. You have to be really careful and try and stack up the best you can, but no, Cooler is going to get in there and hit another rail. What a reactionary rail as well. Fantastic start, 40. That was ridiculous.
2 minutes in, finally, a frag on the board, and another one right off the spawn as Cooler's so smart. Forcing that spawn and getting that frag, making it look easy. 2 minutes in, and now he's going to wait patiently for the heavy. Xron jumping over to the rail. He might get punished for this, as he does. Cooler, perfect placement on that rail as he rocket jumps back over to cycle through the Mega, and Xron can't contest this. He has to give this up.
Nice awareness there from Cooler, though, knowing that he has actually run out of rail ammo. So, you know, just as easily in those kind of fights, you can take an extra shot and, oh, man, you know, missing out on that key damage. Undoes the damage now, though. Thankfully, he's been able to pick up some more rail stuff. So, not the end of the world. Sitting on a 2-frag lead so far, but there's been some absolutely insane frags coming out from Cooler so far. He just seems ready, if anything. Like, Xron is not surprising him in any way, but once more Cooler not taking a shot unless he knows there's minimal risk. Like, he's not taking these rail angles when he knows there's a risk that Xron will just, you know, move towards him, right? The second a rail misses or even hits sometimes, Slash will still be able to get in, dish out that crazy damage. And once more Cooler being nice and reserved. Maybe giving up a heavy here, depends on what Xron's going to do. No, he's going to dedicate. Not going to beat him to the punch, but can he get some bonus damage?
Tri-bolt won't land, unfortunately, for Cooler. That's going to be a free heavy for Xron, and that's exactly what he needed as he finally has a little bit of a stack advantage. Now he just needs to find Cooler and deal a little bit of damage as Cooler just waiting on this Mega. There's a drive-by rail. Can he find a follow-up? Cooler will follow up instead. The heavy machine gun comes out, and so does the Mega. Cooler can stand to fight this. A dropping rail. Fantastic. And Xron, for some reason, drops behind him and eats a lot of shaft.
Yeah, that was not the best idea to jump down there to try and chase it through. I can only assume, maybe he assumed Cooler was going to double back. No, quite a lot of these fights that have been breaking out.
Oh, no. Denied by the spike.
That hurts a lot. But a lot of these fights, Cooler is actually not 100. Oh my god. I'm not even going to need to get my point out because Cooler's just just casually ridiculous. Xron tries to escape, but how much damage has been done? Can he even?
Oh, Cooler! What a rocket! Wow, he didn't need a lot, but still very impressive. What is happening?
Oh, I cannot believe what I just saw. Xron is just taking the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Cooler just having the game of his life, and Xron, I mean, it's just going from bad to worse for the poor guy.
Okay. Just reset. I need to reset. I think Xron needs to reset here too, as he's gonna swoop on down by the pillars. Cooler with a great rail. He's just hitting everything. He's grabbing everything. This is spiraling out of control here as we're getting close to the 5-minute mark. 6-0. And Xron has a lot of work to do as Cooler just has the stack to rocket jump around. He's on the hunt. He wants another frag. There's a rocket into the LG, and that's going to do it. Slash Trail won't save you from that. And a heavy waiting as his reward. Cooler looking on fire right now, 7-0.
I can only imagine how it feels to play off in a tournament setting against a player like Cooler, because with a mind like his, surely it has to feel like you just can't do anything. You know, it's this 2 steps ahead style that Cooler brings to the table, that so many of these ridiculous shots and these wonderful prediction rockets is because he knows the risks, he knows the situation. It's, if I were in that position, what would I do?
Oh my god, these pixel rails, man.
He's just hitting every shot for us. There's literally nothing else we can say about it so far. What a shot! That rocket setting up so much. Looks like Xron may be almost completely unable to escape this. And a direct ding. Thank you very much. Xron, even with that mobility of Slash, looking like he's completely unable to apply any of it. You'd think Cooler's the one with the mobility champion right now.
It might even be working against him as he's just running into Cooler, quite literally, off some of the spawns, getting caught in that stairwell. That's never good. 9-0, 6 minutes in. This is... Wow, that rail. As he jumps over, he wants a rail of his own. He needs to start battling back immediately, be it rail, rocket, or LG. Anything he could find to start chipping away at Cooler. Time is of the essence here as another drive-by rail from Cooler. He's absolutely fearless, hitting everything, and this is a very, very scary Cooler.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, Flea and I had a bit of a chat. I can't quite remember the exact matchup off the top of my head, but it was the word of sometimes a fast champion, the movement can kind of really go against you, where you have so much freedom to go so fast that you run a risk of being a bit too predictable with some of these options. You know, Cooler, he's spent most of this map just kind of sitting around and just listening out for where Xron is, and then just waits for the fight, and then takes the fight wonderfully, hits all of his shots. I feel like Xron is setting up the noose in many ways. And here comes that fight once more, trying to get some bonus damage off the rocket. Cooler's going to return the favor with an 83. I mean, as far as rockets go that are used far away just to establish some damage, 80 is more than, you know, what you're gunning for there.
No, gets caught up in the LG. Not strong enough as a Cooler again gets another frag, 10-0. And Xron just trying to trap, trying to get anything he can to start a comeback, but nothing doing. Cooler's just too strong on all fronts.
Xron has to face quite a difficult decision now. We have less than 3 minutes on the clock. We are going to lose on the frag at that. In this position, what do we do? 2.5 minutes, got to get 11 frags, whilst at the same time, I might add, giving up nothing. Not allowing that lead to extend. I actually think we've passed the point of no return. With how Cooler is playing, I straight up don't see this comeback possible. Xron has to make something happen. Cooler has no reason to overextend. He can kind of do similar to what we saw Garpy do on Molten, which is just set up shop, fortify, defend, wait for your desperate opponent to run around a corner, and just finish them. Xron goes for Mega because he's just trying to get anything that amounts to comeback, but not to be had. I'm ready to say this one is a wrap.
Yeah, but I don't think Cooler's done. I think he's just going to get, he's probably going to be like, you know what, 20 sounds pretty good. 20-0 sounds a lot sexier than 13-0. There's another one. He has a totem in his pocket as well. And right off the spawn, what a rail from Cooler. What an angle here as he's going to grab the heavy for free. And he's just looking so confident and hitting everything. And even though Xron probably got toasted, there's a frag. He got toasted on the first map. Going into the second one as Xron, I'd still be scared, because Cooler's just absolutely dominating.
Well, I've kind of mentioned that, like, Xron is very, very self-aware. If you look at his social medias and stuff, he's very accepting of, like, I think bad defeats. You know, he's very aware of what happens. Like, there's no sugarcoating any of these matches that don't go the way they should for him. But that said, it's just, I do fear for his confidence, because when he plays off the chain. It's just, it feels like an entirely different level of player. But when these kind of one-sided maps go, I feel like it's kind of hard for him to mount comebacks. I don't think he's fully dedicated every time it goes this extremely against him. I know right now it's not quite the example because he's 14 frags down. There's no way he can make a comeback here, but now he just needs to think really long and hard about map number 2. Oh, that!
Oh my God! Cooler putting on a show. Rocket to rail. Just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
If you're Xron, you have to think about map 2. Forget about this one, because, I mean, look, there's nothing you can do about it. But those frags at the very beginning, it was just Cooler being light years ahead. And every time Xron went anywhere, it just kind of felt like Cooler allowed it to happen, right? I'm going to allow this.
I'm gonna allow it. Shouts to the hang. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A mental reset is more than necessary for this one. Just this never happened going to the second map. But again, the way Cooler's playing, I think it might haunt his dreams. Hit everything, grabbed everything.
Oh.
Look at like what? That's all she wrote for that one. That one's wrapped up as Cooler takes the first map of this series, 16-1. Wow, 52% rail. That ain't bad.
It feels to me just like a game of that was a game of perfection. You know, fundamentally, when you play like Cooler does in Time Limit, where it is all about control, it is all about items, it is the brain plays and the mind games, right, and all that kind of good stuff that comes with high level. But then you take the fact that Cooler does that better, and he easily, you know, within top 3 players in the world for having that kind of really, I guess, mindful play. The second you take just out of this world accuracy and you add that to the mix, I mean,
brutal. How do you overcome that?
You, at the very least, to overcome it, have to play as perfect.
Yeah.
And then you have to somehow play better. That's quite a tall order. You know,
Absolutely.
I think it took a couple of frags, just a couple, to show us the level of play Cooler was going to approach that map.
Scary.
And, I mean, it almost felt like a minute in, Xron wasn't winning that. Like, Cooler was just too much of an animal. But that was only map number 1. We have 2 left to go. But if you're in Xron's situation, I mean, frags like that, where he's just... And not only... It wasn't just a mixture of just prediction, and there's some of these spawn traps that, again, come from that calculated play. The reactions, like those reactionary rails, those in the spur of the moment, I'm just going to jump down this ledge and flick and still hit pinpoint. I mean, it was a step above perfect.
And I love it because he's showing the young kids, you know, yeah, I'm a little older, but I still got it.
Old man reactions, what? And
that's always been a myth, and I hate it. Get it out of here.
Look, we were explaining about that rocket, no pun intended. Look at that one. That was, I know you're going to spawn near heavy, and I know the first thing you're going to do, because you're Slash, is you're going to slide towards Nail, and you're going to try and get in and out. Like, just that next level foresight. Look, like, what? 2 perfect reads.
Insane rockets from Cooler. Insane. And he has a history of that, too. Let's not forget that game against Rafa that he probably doesn't want to remember. The start of that game was just 2 rockets all the way back years ago in a different Quake catch-up. But he still has the rockets in Quake Champions, and as he showed on the first map, absolutely impeccable. Look at that rocket to rail. No problem at all. I don't know, man. I'm not playing, but I'm worried. I'm worried about Xron. You got to bounce back, mental reset, but that's going to be lingering in your head. Damn, he hit everything. Like...
But for me, at the same time, it's also Cooler. You know, we're talking about Cooler's rockets. One thing when you sort of study Cooler, like before Quake Champions come out, and you watch all of his old demos and all of his old replays, he has this really weird way of dodging rockets by literally standing still.
Yeah.
Like those 1v1s happen where you both got rockets, and Cooler will constantly shoot you the same way, but he's like literally not moving because
like, I've never seen this before. What's happening?
It just feels like that, and it is. I think if there's any way you can always describe the way he approaches champions as well, it's just next level, isn't it? It's a step above what you would normally see. That there are these really weird little moments where it's just because he has such a gauge on not only how to approach the game, but when you have the level of experience he has, how different players approach it too. And I think that's kind of, I think, the scary thing about players at the highest level of Quake Champions is they're so used to playing off against each other that player tendencies will start to matter, and it just becomes an entirely different game.
Absolutely. 100% here as we're going to get right back into another one here. Can Xron kind of shake that one off and start fresh here as we're getting into it? Cooler Xron on Molten, and again we have Sorlag and Scale Bear. Going to get chunky on this one, Ketchup.
Oh yeah, this was a matchup that we were excited to see purely because of the champions alone. When do you ever get to see Sorlag and Scale Bear in a 1v1? But here we go. Opening damage with the rail. Thankfully there's more stack to work with for these two. But Springing the trap. Minimal damage there. Only 20 to open it. And I like that use of weapon, actually. Cooler goes for the SSG before LG. The size of these champions matter, right? The bigger they are, the more spread hits them, the higher damage you do. Yeah, it is against these larger champions that you do see weapon. Oh, no, he doubles back. But can he get the frag? No! The swap to the rocket. And once more, a frustrating denial. Xron just unable to get any frags, it looks like.
That one's gonna hurt as the rocket right in his chest there takes him out. Mega's not gonna be up for 10 seconds, but that's a good start for Cooler here. He did use the spit, trying to get a little bit of a trap here on the rockets. He's gonna hear, oh, the nail jump. Actually, luckily for him, doesn't come through as Xron would have been in great danger. Still is though, as he's gonna LG up the jump pad like a crazy person and actually makes it worthwhile as he forces Cooler out. Wow, that was a very ballsy play there.
But he's no end of the rail, so he knows he's free to run around. Doesn't need to give up an angle, but he's very, very weak indeed. Here comes the ball rush and the ring out. The perfect frag that he was looking for. Cooler. When do you normally get to see Cooler say XD? Come on, only on the Quake Pro League, ladies and gentlemen.
Screenshot that. That was a good play. I think he was trying to hop on the ledge at the last minute and just couldn't do it. And Xron sends him flying, but he gets the frag back. Cooler with the LG takes a lot of damage, but the Mega's right there to negate all of the damage that he took. And he's in the driving seat again. 10 seconds till the heavy. And he's waddling his way over to the heavy again. And oh my God! Apparently he's a matador right there.
XD.
Wow. That's gotta hurt.
Psych, you thought.
He's like, all right, I'll give you one, but again, nah, it's not going to happen again. The LG might happen again. Here's Xron, eats a lot of shaft there. Needs to be careful and back away. As Cooler waiting patiently on the Mega. That was pretty great. That's going to be a highlight for a while.
Because not only what caused it to happen, but then the immediate adaptation of, I'm going to make you, no, all right, now, he hasn't got ball rush. If he had ball rush, I still don't think Xron would have used it again in that situation. Not after what just happened.
We've been here before.
Yeah, like less than a minute ago. And before that again.
Yeah.
But the ball rush is available.
Oh no.
Yeah, caught with his pants down by every definition there, unfortunately. Here comes the Mega, about to spawn. Cooler should be able to establish a little bit of pressure before he collects. There's still going to be a chunky little divide, actually, in between Mega and Heavy. So not the end of the world. Misses the rocket. Here comes the ball rush. But again, I actually really love that movement from Cooler. When he knows the ball rush is happening, he very much kind of hits that sort of inner side angle where pulling a hard turn with the ball rush, it seems almost like impossible for him to hit that angle with the charge, and it misses. And if it misses, he's not doing damage, he's not firing it out. I mean, Cooler playing this matchup exceptionally well.
Oh no, catches him out again, one rail. Oh, he's gonna miss that rail, and that's gonna be the saving grace for Xron. I thought he was gonna drop down for a second. I thought he was gonna go full crazy, but he concedes the Mega as he should. He's only down by 4, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities to come back rather quickly. With rockets like that, that's gonna help. Actually going to win him the heavy, but the rail from Cooler's fantastic. He's going to be able to rain down spit and another rocket, but the rockets from Xron are too strong, but he's not going to be able to make it, is he? No, I feel like I jinxed him. He's so close. That's the worst when you're looking at a health bubble, too, and you're like reaching for it, and then you still die.
Goes in for the shot. The fight, by all means, should be Xron's, and he will take it. It may be sometimes hard to hit a rail, not necessarily from that range. And he's able to undo some of it, but I mean, still 3 frags down. But now he's going to chase. Here comes the heavy. Once always jump down, the timing is going to be Xron's as well as Cooler's. And that rail, at the very least, undoing some of the work there Cooler was able to build up. So, not the end of the world. He can at least get some kind of damage. Here comes the armor to set up. Has to be very careful to avoid the acid spit. Can't make life harder for himself. The LG's coming through, but the rockets are fantastic with 3 remaining. And the only reason he survived that fight was because he played around spit so phenomenally well. And I like this. Signs of life from Xron. He's been looking for this all day.
So patient on that last rocket. He's like, I need to make this absolutely count, and he nails it. 10 HP, and the bull rush won't get him away. As Cooler with 2 great rails absolutely destroys him.
And Cooler, alarmingly, with a nice amount of stack to boot. He has himself a rocket launcher too, so he's got pretty much every weapon he could want to just deliver the damage, but Mega's going to spawn again. Cooler for another time with not only control, but a really tasty looking stack. Heavy's going to spawn as well. Xron being really careful. He has to. The entry damage with the spit. This looks like a perfect fight for Cooler. And the damage over time will finish the job. What a perfect time to go in there. And the rocket at the end.
I love the angle because he's like, you have to cross, otherwise you're just going to die from spit anyway, so I'll get a little bit of extra rocket damage when you do cross, and he gets another frag right there. 9-4 Cooler just looking so strong like he did on Blood Cove.
Able to beat him to the Mega. However, no armor. Should be a free kill for Xron, and it will be 100%. Perfect time. And that whole sequence starting, thankfully, that he hit the rail as Cooler jumps down towards Mega. Had he missed that shot, who knows? Might have gone a little bit differently. Importantly, though, he was able to hit what he needed. Entry damage with the LG. Cooler giving himself a better angle. Misses the rail shot, though. Doesn't want to hide it too much. Xron's in very big danger here. That large hitbox is going to make it harder to escape. He's able to cut, but he's still railable, even at this health.
Wow. Fearless chase down there for the Mega, as Cooler will get another frag. 10-5, just absolutely pestering Xron, not letting him get away. And Xron is reeling right now. 4 minutes left, down by 5, and he's like, this damn dinosaur won't leave me alone.
That's always going to be the benefit of Sorlag, isn't it? Is the fact that she's underratedly fast sometimes. However, the Tri-Bolt putting a lot of faith into it. The ball rush is going to miss, but how much damage is Cooler prepared to take? In fact, both players are going to choose to disengage. And the rail's going to belong to Cooler as well, which is really important. The important thing, though, is that Cooler just maintains the lead. He's going to spring the trap, turns it around with the acid spit, and again! Just the weapon swaps have been perfect from Cooler. And every time a frag like that goes against you, it just has to be frustrating. There's no other word to describe it.
Oh, and a little bit too much there, as I think the shoulder check did some damage, and then the rocket takes him out. So Xron has an opportunity here, has an opening to get the heavy. That's going to be huge, but he's nowhere to be found here, as he's going to get there late, and that might cost him. There's one good rail. Can he get another one? He needs more than that. It's still down 5, 3 minutes left, looking more and more uncertain.
Here comes the ball rush. Minimal damage coming out. I would say it could be Xron's fight, but once more the Rockets just not quite able to hit their mark, and some phenomenal LG. It's the payout of ball rush, right? Fast movement, damage reduction, the damage and the knockback. I mean, yeah, it may sound like an amazing ability, but you can't shoot. Yeah. How much damage are you prepared to take to get that situation? By that time, is it too late? Cooler just not even interested in taking the fight. He knows he's got a nice level of a lead here. Full speed ahead thanks to the bunny hopping passive for Sorlag. And with just over 2 minutes left on the clock, this is looking to be another map for Cooler.
What a rail. Looking for one more. He wants it. He smells it. Ooh, he takes one to the face there, and there it is. Just gets those big old broad shoulders of scale, and that'll be another frag. 12-5, 2 minutes left. Looks like you're right. Cooler's probably going to take this one here, unless we see some magic from Xron. There's the bull rush, and there's the heavy pickup and the immediate escape from Cooler.
Yeah, if you want a solution for the bull rush, the rocket jump's the way to do it. No way you can chase you down in that situation, and thanks to the heavy, Cooler was more than stacked enough to take that shot. Some Tri-Bolt damage for some information. Xron, I think alarmingly close to the edge there, actually. Almost got ringed out, actually, in fact. But Mega's going to spawn again. The control, just once more, into the hands of Cooler. Xron, I really fear that he's constantly putting himself in these really terrible situations. When these point-blank fights happen, you'd so normally be used to a benefiting Scale Bearer thanks to his movement passive and ball rush and stuff like that, but Cooler is just hitting some absolutely amazing shots. And his LG's been phenomenal too.
Yeah, again, as we discussed earlier, Cooler is such an intelligent player, and then when he hits insane shots like that, it's just so overwhelming. And like you said, you have to play near perfect here, and unfortunately for Xron, that is not what he's playing like. 13-6 with a minute left. It's all but done and dusted for Cooler here. But a little bit more damage coming out with the shotgun. Maybe another frag here as Cooler trying to fight his way into that heavy. The LG and the spit will keep him away. His time will tick down, so will Xron's health. Finally grabs the 25. There's some rocket damage. Cooler jumping over it, and there's the bull rush. Moonwalking off the map slowly, trying to walk that tightrope, but instead he's going to dance his way off the map. That's going to be a little bit brutal.
But I think honestly, having the benefit of looking at Xron's perspective and then immediately back into Cooler's, there's just a different level of comfort here too. I just think Xron just looks like he's almost half checked out in this matchup. I feel like he's missing loads of shots. I think his movement's not been all there, like blunders like that. I don't think we're going to see Cooler make those kind of mistakes in the course of this set. where every time Cooler plays, regardless of how meaningful the series might be or not, you can always expect 100% and more from Cooler.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like players like Cooler and Rafa, they're always playing for something, even if nothing's on the line. They don't want to give up a victory for no reason. They want to make you play your best, and they want to lose to you by you outplaying them in every way rather than them giving anything away for free. And I can't help but feel like maybe that first map was a little bit of a I don't know, just a tilt fest maybe? I don't know if tilt's the right word, but Xron, again, off his game on that one, looked a little bit rough, and Cooler just ran away with it.
If it wasn't before, there's a chance it might be now. With just like a couple of those errors that we saw at the last minute of Molten Falls, I'm just a bit fearful for Xron's, I guess, I don't know. I suppose his mindset as we go into this, because it started off quite funny actually, and this was just the immediate adaptation. So good. But fundamentally, the more the map started to go on, I mean, it feels like almost every single frag went the same way. They would inevitably just butt heads. Cooler would come off inches better in the fight, and it would become a little bit more severe every time. And even down to that mistake where the ball rush, immediately knocked him off the map.
That's so brutal. Just pushing you into a corner, and then taking that rail out to finish it. And again, I like the patience there from Xron on that one. He's like, I need to hit this for 100, and he does. But Cooler just was hitting so much more. The rail was fantastic. The rockets were great. He's playing out of his mind right now.
But with how things are going, I can only ever assume that we're going to see a 3-0 for Cooler. With just how these maps have gone, I don't know if there's going to be some sort of magical adaptation here from Xron where Cooler's just going to start playing worse, and Xron makes less mistakes and puts himself in less bad positions, like just stuff like that. Just, I don't know. I think if Xron is on top of his game, and we're going into something like Italy, I don't think we're going to see those kind of mistakes. I don't want to put him on a pedestal, and I don't want to curse it by any means, but I do think that maybe there is the possibility that because this week doesn't mean a huge amount, that there's Xron maybe not giving 110%.
Maybe coasting a little bit. That might come back to haunt him. You always want to get the best practice you can in, especially before an event, but we'll see. We still got one map. I think we're going to Vale. I think it's going to be Eisen versus BJ. I'd like to see a little bit more out of Xron, but you're right. Maybe he has mentally checked out a little bit, and Cooler's just going to coast to this one, but you never know.
There's always a chance to get that sort of win when we're in the last map situation. I mean, there is going to be a level of, I guess, simplicity that comes with picking BJ, because ultimately you're just a champion that he's quite simple, right? It's pop the second gun, be in a good position, take the fight. Whereas Cooler, a player that thrives on control and the mind, picking someone like Eisen who can just block you in so many ways, you can use the turret in some really crazy situations. Xron is going to have to, I think, not only take out the fact that Cooler is playing incredibly well today, but now he's got Eisen turret on a map like this, which is, close quarters, and the turret shuts down so much. It's still one hell of an opponent he has to face off against.
Absolutely. And he's already set up position here. He hears Xron down below going towards LG, trying to spring the trap. And there's the LG forcing him backward. There's the dual wield from the nails, and wow, nice. Hits everything. Xron absolutely melts him. Cooler did not see that one coming.
Almost an error of the fights have often gone so well for Cooler that an underestimation maybe of the damage that comes out, but swiftly reminded that this is BJ we're dealing with. Xron, barely enough armor, and we're very fearful in this fight. Almost wins, in fact, but being caught in that kind of situation without armor to fall back on is unfortunate, because you just I suppose just have to accept death, right?
As did Wally there, as he gets annihilated. Cooler with a little bit of LG tickle there. 1-1, 1 minute in, as both players looking for an attempted rail angle through that door, but the door's going to shut and say no dice. That is going to be the next item up. Cooler waiting patiently. He could double back for the heavy as well and add to that stack. Dual wield is up for Xron now. And there it is, pops it a little bit early here, but that's going to be enough to hopefully keep Cooler at bay, but he's crazy. The LG, not enough. He is going to get knocked down on the fadeaway. Rail won't do it. Cooler melts him.
Almost feels like it was a blessing in disguise that Cooler had been knocked down towards Teleporter, because it put him in the perfect angle to just chase down and get a bunch of unrivaled LG. Because, Xron, if he's taken the heavy armor from that position, he kind of has no choice but to go in a straight line. And if you get knocked near the Teleporter, it's put you in perfect position to do it.
A little bit of a gift, maybe, from Xron. Unwillingly, though, as Cooler waiting on that third floor, raining down rockets, waiting for this heavy a little bit early, but no problem as Xron not there to do any damage, but drops straight into his arms. There's the rockets from Xron, the pops. Can he? Okay.
Oh, no.
Xron, unfortunately, his greatest enemy, the wall. 2-0 for Cooler.
but it seems to be just continuing that same old storyline, which is Cooler, everything seems to be working out for him, and Xron, just a series of unfortunate events. I'm worried if we're going to see a few more.
Yeah, he got Night at the Rock Bear right there between Wally and Cooler, and Cooler's going to take that all day. He's also going to take the heavy all day and add to that stack again. And it's looking pretty brutal for Xron, but still very early on. He could settle down and try and get back in as he's waiting above the telly. I think Cooler knows something's up. He's going to slowly go through it, and there's the rail missing, and he's going to eat some rocket damage, trying to pull out the dual-wield nail, but Cooler puts a stop to that with a rail right between the eyes.
Fresh off the spawn, Xron hasn't got a lot to work with. Gets the 180, but he's still exceptionally weak. Dangerous position now, even with those white armors. Put himself back on a base stack. Looks to me a little bit like if that wasn't a health bubble, it might have been BJ's passive at the very least. Undone swiftly as Cooler hits an impressive rail, and he cuts off Xron. Perfect play and the perfect execution. Xron thinking maybe he had just even a small opportunity to escape. But we're going back. 1 step ahead, 2 steps ahead. Cooler, always knowing what you're going to do, gets an excellent rail, setting up disaster. The missed rail as well, minimal damage to come through. Cooler looking to chase this one down and maybe seal another one. Yeah, too risky even for Cooler to go up that jump pad, knowing that he's railable.
Oh, just missing out on the Tootsies there. But yeah, I mean, even Cooler knows, hey, I'm 5 in the lead. I've already won the set with 2 maps, but he doesn't want to give anything for free. And Xron works for that one and wins the Mega. Has to go back through to pick it up, but that's a good start for Xron as he can double back to the heavy as well. Cooler will get on the rockets rather quickly. That's going to be huge for him as that's been one of his best weapons this series. Good rail from Xron as well. Can he find the follow-up as he goes in? There's the dual-wield LG in the Thunderdome, and Cooler makes it rain with rockets yet again, hitting everything he needs to, and fends off that oncoming fight.
In fact, sometimes you just look at your positioning and think, does dual wield benefit me super much? And it's not surprising that Xron went in for the dual wield, because it kind of looked like, yeah, that was his fight to take. That's why he had the entry damage, that's why he went in dual wield the LGs, but Cooler tactically positioning himself in the rocket room where there's a good chance he can land rocket damage and just set you in motion. The moment you're in motion, it can be quite unpredictable to land your dual wield damage because you're having to control movement that is not in your hands at all. But
absolutely,
perfectly well played, and his reward will be yet another heavy armor. And it looks like he's about to pick up the Mega 2. With just how seemingly one-sided this map has been, a Cooler with this much stack, it only will ever spell fear if you're in Xron's position. Needs a rail though. The one thing he's lacking is rails have been perfect and he hasn't quite got it yet.
Midway point here as heavy's nowhere to be found and Xron has to get out. The Wally will be thrown down for a little bit of information and also as a warning sign of don't touch my heavy, and Xron is nowhere to be found. Mega is going to be up next, but again Cooler knows exactly when it's coming up. Now he's hunting. Now he's just hunting. He's hungry for more frags catch up. He wants more.
Well, he has information thanks to the Mega being picked up. The dual wield's going to get popped. A bunch of LG. Looks like it should be his fight, and it will be. Xron getting off quite lightly too, thanks to the light armor that spawns. The passive of BJ giving him the next tick of 25. He's going to pick up a kill on Cooler as well. And, alright, things are starting to turn around a little bit. Just like that. He is no longer immediately out of the map. And
oh,
what a shot!
That should have been 120 damage. It was right on the forehead here as Wally's popping off, doing a little bit of damage there before Xron can take it out. And Cooler will win the Mega because of that. That was such a good rail, though.
A bit nervous for Xron's stack. He needs a bit more armor. A fair amount of time until Heavy's about to spawn. And this was that choice, right? Do I want to get the light armor or do I want to get the rockets? In this case, rockets are more important. But because of the time required to get back there, he had no choice but to give up the heavy, giving Cooler advantage for another time. He's going to have the turrets available as well. Xron putting a lot of confidence that he's going to try and fight for the Mega, but unfortunately, even without Cooler having to do a single thing, was able to force the dual wield away from Xron. Here comes the fight now, and he's taking so much damage. Yeah, let's try and hit his angle as best he can, but Cooler's going to get the last laugh once more, and Xron being so confident that if he goes to the teleporter, he can use the dual wield and take him out. By the time the fight happened, he didn't have that all-important resource to take the fight with at all.
Does get to steal away the heavy as we're getting closer. 7 minutes in, down 4 frags. Xron has shown flashes of brilliance here. He just needs a little something to string together and send us into overtime. Possibly just take the lead, but with rails like that keeping him low, Cooler just keeping him down in a hole, so to speak. And there is the LG up the jump pad and the swap to rail like we've seen before so many times. Cooler, perfect on that rail shot.
And now, under 3 minutes left on the clock, and just so much work left to do for Xron. You ask the question, is this possible? With how Cooler has been playing this map so far, and how Xron is making a couple of errors in judgment with these fights. I mean, is this a possible comeback you think we can see, 40?
I always believe. But again, time is ticking. That rail's going to be good, but Cooler hit one of his own, and he's waiting on the Mega patiently. It's going to be an uphill battle. So as the time starts melting away, you gotta figure, does Cooler feel pretty good going in Italy? I mean, this is a big confidence boost.
I think he was always going to be confident regardless of how this map went, but with just the nature of how defeating Xron has proven for him so far, not to say that it's set in stone, you know, frags like that, who knows if Xron's going to at least make it 2-1. But a 3-0, I mean, that's only ever going to make you feel good, isn't it? Especially as we go into a LAN environment where, you know, the people that you've been playing for 10 weeks, they're all going to be there. Players that you've done extremely well against at QuakeCon will be in attendance too. Just how could you not be confident?
Look, I hate to be
like
the
this?
guy to bring club soda to the party, but let's not forget about QuakeCon, where Cooler looks so dominant, and then at the end, just kind of something happened. So that's why I was wondering, you know, what he's thinking going into this LAN. Did he delete that from his memory? Again, the set with Kilson was a bit brutal here. There's a minute 30 left. Xron raging on, trying to make something happen here, fighting from below with rockets. Rail, anything he can do. Goes up the jump pad. One good rocket. Can he find another one? Finds one midair, almost connects. 53 HP, drops down onto the rail. A minute and 20 left with 3 frags needed on the board. This is well within the realm of possibilities, but Cooler detours, doesn't go into the Thunderdome, and that's going to eat away more clock, and that makes it look more and more likely that Xron isn't going to make it his comeback.
A nice frag into a second frag back-to-back once you've got the dual wield popped, especially if you catch him in the spawn, where if you've got a good stack, there's nothing really they can do to stop it. You kind of need to make the most out of every opportunity, but Xron has to even wait for him to get dual wield back, which doesn't necessarily favor him too much in these fights. Every time he takes a fight like this against Cooler, he by all means can lose the fight. He's using the pillar to his advantage, but he's taking lots of damage. Watch out for the rail! I was about to say right before Cooler hit the mark, and I think that one frag might be the beginning of the end, because now Xron has to restack. He's got to get himself some weapons. Cooler has pretty much every weapon he could want. I mean, it's going to take too long to be even equipped to make the comeback here.
Cooler's just been so good at swapping the rail as the finishing weapon in the series. It's been so on point, hitting everything. And with 20 seconds left, he's going to drop down the wall, a little bit of rocket damage into the Thunderdome. He's going to go in for more. Dual wield comes out, and now it's just going to be a brawl to see who can get this frag. This might be the last one as Xron is down on 25. Cooler has about 50 HP. The rail through the grate won't land. And the quick on the draw as Xron goes through the teleport. A little bit of a consolation frag there, but it looks like it's going to be wrapped up 9-6, and Cooler sweeps the series. Is it sweeps week, Ketchup?
Swept. I think. I might even be wrong. Sweeps, swept. That's it.
I was referring to Sweeps Week about television ratings, but that's okay. That went over your head. I'm going to pretend you're Zoot for this one.
Supermarket sweep.
Yeah, well, that's a different show. That's a good show, too.
That's another one.
I just got to teach you about all this
stuff.
stuff.
It stopped going ages ago. Well, we have. This is the different. This is where the culture difference comes in.
Is it a culture difference? I thought Supermarket Sweep was NA.
Is it?
I mean, we have it. I've seen it.
We have it too? Production literally just told me we have it too.
They were like, we have it too, you idiot. And I was like, okay, that's
great.
Fine.
But no, who knows? I don't really know much about television. I will be completely honest.
2 sweeps is what I mean.
I'm a gamer. I'm one of those damn gamers. But that was
going
to be... yeah, he was. That was a series of pro gamer moves, if anything, as Cooler took it in dominant fashion. But not only that, but I mean, it's just the plays he made, the accuracy, the decision-making, just... the suffocation of Xron. It just felt like at no point in this entire series did Xron have a chance to even start doing what he wanted to do. I feel like he constantly had to play from behind, and that, in turn, I mean, if you're Cooler, that's just another day in the office. That's how he wants you to feel when you play this.
Absolutely brutal. You have to play into exactly what he wants to do, and this is what happens when you do so. Look at these rockets. Dual-wield LG, I got this. Oh, wait, I don't, because Cooler hits everything. Just such good play from Cooler, and again, going in Italy, that's going to be huge. But Xron has a week. He has a week to kind of forget about this and be like, this is fine. That rail was incredible, by the way.
There were some real moments of greatness coming out from Xron. It was just too spread out, I suppose. There were some moments where he took fights really well, when the weapon swapping was right. But in moments like that, going up the jump pad, that's like a guaranteed death in so many ways, unless the stack is in your favor. And in that case, it wasn't. There isn't a huge amount of time for Xron to kind of reflect on this. I mean, losing to Cooler, there's no shame in that. He is one of the greatest Quake players of all time, so it's like, well, you win some, you lose some when you face off against a player like that. But Xron he's collected some killer names in his own right throughout the course of Quake Pro League, and I think he very much needs to remember that as we go into next week, because the last thing that needs to happen is for this series to like knock his confidence on its head.
Absolutely. You don't want to forget about what just happened, but you don't want to dwell on it either. Just take a look at it, see, you know, where could I have done a little bit better, and then full confidence going into Italy. That's going to be absolutely huge for all of these players.
But at the same time, if Cooler plays the way he did today, if he plays like that next week, he's absolutely like straight on, you know, the top end of that pyramid of players that everyone's keeping their eye on. Because I think people are looking at Cooler anyway to be a player that you expect to do damn well, even if he doesn't win the thing, to kind of be within the later stages of that tournament. But you know, I guess today was just an opportunity for the king to remind us why he got that mantle in QPL to begin with. So, you know, well done for Cooler. No doubt he'll be feeling good about it. But that was just our second series. We have 2 more to get through for EU and CIS. The next one's going to be Base and the one you've been waiting for. The one you've been waiting for. But Base and Razy is going to be our next matchup. That one, I feel like that's a bit more of a question mark. That's going to be 2 players that have been more than holding their own in Quake Pro League, but who's going to be going into Luca as the one that kind of has the edge? For me, my gut tells me Razy is that player. If you've been watching his streams recently, he has, well, for some reason, been on this colossal clutch grind. You know, like clutch only Razy, I think his gamer tag was called, where he was just doing ranked sets and reached elite with exclusively clutch. There was no variety, and he's actually been able to get in the clutch in the first map, I believe it is actually, in fact. So we'll be seeing that Razy patent clutch very, very quickly. But out of these 2 players, it's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just wondering what Razy's thinking about going into Italy, simply because he knows what he did last year. He knows what he achieved. He knows what title he got, but can he do it again?
Well, we are moments away from finding that out. As you expect by now, we're going to go for a quick break, get Base, get Razy into a lobby. This is week number 10 of the Quake Pro League. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a few minutes' time. See you in a bit.